This is the story of Barry Seal. An ordinary commercial pilot whose life suddenly reaches a turning point from where he could either lose everything or win everything. This is the very story the world saw through the film American Made. In the beginning, Barry is a simple airline pilot. He is so busy with day and night flights that he barely has time for his home and his wife. His wife often complains about this. But the real problem is that Barry feels that compared to the hard work he puts in, he doesn't earn enough money. He wants something bigger from life. This is where the first wrong step of his life begins. With every flight, he secretly starts smuggling cigars from Cuba into his country. At first, the quantity is small, but slowly it keeps increasing. One night, he hands over an entire bag full of cigars to a bartender and in return receives a thick envelope. Barry sits there drinking and starts considering himself very clever. In the same bar, a man approaches him. His name is Monty. Calmly, he tells Barry that he knows everything about his activities, that he is slowly increasing his smuggling. Then he smiles and says that he is from the CIA, and if Barry wants to stay out of jail, he will have to work with him. At first, Barry thinks it's a joke, but within moments, he realizes that the man standing in front of him really is a CIA officer. Monty gives him an offer. He says that a special camera will be installed under Barry's jet. He will have to fly at specific routes and specific altitudes so that photos of enemy countries' secret locations can be taken. In return, he will get huge money along with CIA protection. Barry gets confused. When he returns home, his wife notices that he is very disturbed. She thinks that maybe Barry has quit his job. Barry doesn't tell her anything. The next day, he again goes to work at his old airline, but now everything feels boring to him. He realizes that he is made for a bigger, more dangerous, and higher-paying world. After a few days, he goes back to Monty and accepts the offer. Now Barry's life completely changes. He has to fly at extremely low altitudes over different countries to take pictures of secret bases. Once, while flying over an enemy country, the soldiers below get suspicious. They start firing bullets at his jet. But Barry is not an ordinary pilot, he is an expert. With great skill, he maneuvers his jet through the gunfire and escapes. While returning to America, he puts back on his old airline uniform because Monty had clearly told him not to tell anyone that he works for the CIA, not even his wife. From here, Barry's life enters a dangerous and mysterious world where there is a lot of money, a lot of power, but death is very close every moment. With time, Barry's missions become even more dangerous. Monty is shocked after seeing the photos Barry brings back. He understands that the kind of pictures Barry captures, perhaps no other pilot can. One day, Monty calls him and says there is another special mission for him. Barry is given a sealed envelope and sent to Panama. There, he has to deliver that envelope to a journalist. The envelope contains extremely confidential documents. Barry completes the task without asking any questions, but from here, his life takes an even more dangerous turn. In Panama, he meets some people who take him directly to Pablo Escobar, the same Pablo who is considered the world's biggest drug dealer. His men offer Barry a deal. He has to drop some cargo in Miami. In return, he will get $200,000 per trip. They assure him that this job will be easy for him because he is an excellent pilot. Hearing such a huge amount, Barry realizes how far he can go. He accepts the offer. A massive amount of drugs is loaded into his jet. The weight is so heavy that he struggles to lift the plane off the runway. But somehow, he manages to take off and delivers the cargo to Miami. On his return, he is given millions of dollars in cash. For the first time in his life, he sees such a huge amount together and is overwhelmed with happiness. But just as he is about to leave with the money, suddenly the army raids the place. Everyone is arrested, including Barry. Barry panics. He thinks maybe his CIA work has been exposed. Then Monty arrives. Seeing him, Barry feels some relief. But Monty tells him that the matter is even more serious. Not just here, but now the American government also knows about his activities, and soon his house will be raided. Monty somehow gets Barry released and strictly warns him not to go back home. He gives him a new address and tells him to take his entire family there. When things calm down, he will be called back. At that moment, Barry doesn't know that once you enter this game, returning is not easy. Late at night, Barry secretly enters his house, wakes up his wife and children quietly, and leaves for the given address. After a few hours, he reaches a deserted countryside area. There is a small house there. Seeing the place, Barry becomes even more nervous. Suddenly, he sees Monty standing outside. Barry runs to him. Without saying much, Monty takes him to a nearby small runway. A jet is waiting there for him. Monty also returns the bag containing millions of dollars given by Pablo's men. Then, in a serious tone, he says that this time the job will be even more dangerous. Now Barry has to deliver weapons to rebels in Honduras. Hearing this, Barry refuses. He clearly understands that this job is like inviting death. But Monty explains that at this moment, Barry has no other option. He cannot return to his old home. Once things settle down, everything can become normal again. Helplessly, Barry agrees. Weapons are loaded into the jet, and he flies to Honduras. He delivers the weapons to the rebels, but their behavior is extremely bad. They like Barry's good clothes and forcibly make him remove them and keep them. This deeply shocks Barry. After returning, he tells Monty everything on the phone and clearly says that he will never go back there. Monty tells him to stay calm and says that next time he must deal with them properly. This mission is very important and he has to do it. Sometime later, Barry goes there again. This time, he carries a baseball bat. He clearly warns that if anyone comes close, he won't stay quiet. People keep their distance. Then the same two men of Pablo Escobar arrive, the ones Barry had worked for earlier. They take him again and make a new offer. This time, he only has to drop drugs at a specific location on the return route. In return, he will get a huge amount of money. Barry accepts this offer too. Slowly, his flights increase. Money starts pouring in endlessly. Working day and night, he earns so much that he realizes he can no longer manage everything alone. He buys more jets, hires new pilots, and builds an entire network. Now, everyone works for him. By joining Pablo Escobar, Barry still turns from an ordinary pilot into a multimillionaire within a short time. One day, Monty comes to Barry and tells him that there is no longer a need to supply weapons. The government has decided to bring all the rebels to a special place for training. Barry gets a bit nervous because this is the same route he uses to deliver Pablo Escobar's drugs. Still, he has no option to refuse. He delivers the rebels to that place, but does not stop the drug supply. Day and night flights, continuous deliveries, and endless money within a short time. Barry becomes the richest man in that entire area during this time. One day his wife says she wants to call her brother to live with them. Barry has no problem with it. Within a few days, his brother-in-law JB arrives. JB quickly understands that Barry has so much money that if he takes a little, no one will notice. He secretly buys cars, enjoys life, and spends freely. After some time, Barry finds out. Instead of getting angry, he calmly explains that he should not take money without asking. Whenever he needs money, he should ask directly. A few days later, Barry leaves for another drug delivery. This time, the D follows him. Barry thinks they will give up soon, but the D plane keeps chasing him. Using his flying skills and experience, Barry manages to escape. However, now he is on the DEAS radar, and once an agency notices you, it becomes a huge threat to your life. On the next flight, things get worse. This time, multiple D planes chase him. He realizes that escaping won't be easy. He lands his jet in a deserted place, grabs all the cash, and escapes on a bicycle, but the jet is seized by the D. Around 200 kilograms of drugs are recovered from inside. When this news reaches Monty, he is shocked. He had clearly warned Barry to stop drug operations. Meanwhile, Pablo Escobar has left his country and started an open rebellion against the government. He calls Barry and says that he still has her. lot of stock left and wants Barry to deliver it. Barry is about to reply when his wife calls in, panic, and tells him that her brother JB has been arrested with a large amount of cash. Barry understands that JB has been caught stealing again. Barry tells Pablo that he will talk later and leaves. He somehow gets JB out of jail, gives him money, buys tickets to Bora Bora, and tells him to leave. But instead, JB insults him, demands weekly money, and even abuses Barry's wife before driving away. Barry's blood boils. He rushes toward the car, but JB speeds away. Seconds later, a huge explosion occurs. The car flies into the air, and JB dies on the spot. At that moment, Barry understands everything. This was Pablo's men. They had earlier said they would take care of JB. Now, Barry understands what they meant. He hides the burned car in the jungle. Meanwhile, senior CIA officers call Monty and tell him that the mission must now be shut down. Monty goes straight to Barry and says that the rebels who were brought for training must be sent back, and the weapons are still there. Barry understands that the blame for everything will now fall on him. After leaving, Monty burns all files containing Barry's name so no one suspects him. But Barry knows his countdown has begun soon. Multiple agencies raid his house together. FBI, ATF, and others arrest him. He is taken to an attorney. Surprisingly, he is released very quickly. As soon as he comes out, some people put him into their car. Barry thinks they are Monty's men, but they say they work for the White House. He is taken there and told that there is only one way to survive. He must go back to Pablo Escobar and collect solid evidence against him and his men. Barry has no choice. He goes to their base in his private jet. The cargo is unloaded and the camera under the plane records everything. Now the government has proof. There is celebration at the White House. But for Barry, this is not good news. His face is clearly visible in the photos. He understands that Pablo's men will not let him live. The government refuses to provide him any protection. He starts living in constant fear. The FBI raids his house again, seizes millions of dollars, and takes over the house. Barry moves into his old home. He doesn't receive a major punishment for weapons and drug smuggling, only 1,000 hours of community service. But his real punishment is something else, the constant fear of death. He keeps moving from one motel to another. During this time, he records videos explaining that everything he did was under CIA orders. So the truth comes out if something happens to him. But one day, the same man from Pablo's side who got JB killed sends a shooter to Barry. Barry is shot dead. This is where Barry Seal's story ends. After his death, the CIA immediately takes control of all evidence recorded against them. So the truth doesn't reach the public or other governments. Barry wanted the world to know that he wasn't just a smuggler, he was working for the government. But with his death, his voice is silenced forever, and Monty gets promoted. Soon, the media gets wind of the case. President Ronald Reagan and Vice President George Bush are questioned repeatedly. Slowly, the truth begins to surface, truth that had been buried for years. On the other hand, Barry's wife's life changes completely. The FBI seizes all their wealth. She now works in a supermarket, living an ordinary life. But she still wears a bracelet. Barry gifted her a bracelet that is extremely valuable.